Doomsvince, and this is day 74 of Spawn Year.
I'm feeling a little depressed today. Alright, I'm all kinds of depressed. Someone else in my position might look at my progress and say, hey, you're already a fifth of the way through the year. But I can't help but think, I'm only a fifth of the way through the year. Looking ahead, I can only imagine what other sadistic plans Doomsvince has for me. To think, only 72 days in, he had me so close to giving in. I got through it, but it bothers me that I was tempted, especially by the thing that sent me here in the first place. How do I prepare myself for next time, I wonder? How do I make sure everything I do here isn't for nothing? It's difficult to take any joy in my few accomplishments here when I'm forced to read such a joyless book. There's not so much plot in this issue as example after example of affirming that hell has won, that in this future evil has taken the earth, and that there is no mercy for the humans who reject the anti-pope's warped gospel of darkness. I do find this dark philosophy really intriguing. The anti-pope tortures and disembowels Abel, a man with crosses etched into his skin all over his body, signifying his commitment to light. The names Jesus and Christ are curiously never evoked, and he represents the defiant light sinners, as the anti-pope calls them. He's called Abel for obvious reasons. In the biblical story, Cain was the bad brother and Abel the good one. The anti-pope's crusade against humanity centers around a belief, or is it a validation, or just a way to be poetic and dramatic, that the darkness is stronger than the light, will always consume the light, and so humans must embrace the darkness and worship it. To fight it in the name of light is the real sin to the anti-pope, because darkness itself is, to him, the one true God. This is intentionally perverse, and yet Abel lives in the most extreme of circumstances. A world in which evil is winning, perhaps has already won. There's even talk that God himself has been killed in the war with heaven. Though, of course, demons on earth are going to tout that up when they're on top and no one would have the means to contradict it. After being disemboweled, Abel is prepared for what Anti-Pope calls his baptism, where he's covered in a vile mixture of various insects and seems to be suddenly possessed with evil. I imagine we'll see exactly what has become of him next issue. But Anti-Pope seems to be proving his point. No matter how hard man clings to an ideal, darkness wins out. Just as death comes for us all, no matter how hard we might hold on to life. But surely this isn't the story's ultimate message, right? This thing has to end with some ray of hope after all these relentlessly wordy pages of bleak despair. I guess I'll just have to see if I don't slit my own wrists first. Meanwhile, we learn more about Daniel Lanso's past, as certain key moments flash before his eyes like we've experienced with Al. It seems he does have a mild case of amnesia, only so the story has an excuse to do random pages of flashbacks and trying to give us the impression that it's not just arbitrary exposition out of nowhere. We already know way more about Daniel than we did about Al by issue anything. His experience reflects the anti-pope's philosophy of darkness. Every encounter with human beings ended in death and sadness, no matter how good people seemed or claimed to be. After killing his abusive father on the moon, Daniel lived a life of constant incarceration, still managing to murder people who preyed on others and who he thought deserved it. He had a female public defender who he fell in love with. Her name was Noon, perhaps because that's classically when public executions would happen. And while he was happy with her for a while, we're told she was gutted like all the rest, and it was his fault, but we're given no details at all. We have a road to hell is paved with good intentions theme here, a man who does bad things for good reasons and ultimately becomes a hellspawn. By the end of the issue, despite saving our mother and son duo, and despite Matthew thinking he recognizes Spawn, that's as far as that subplot develops, Daniel seems to fully embrace his new role as Hell's General because he's lost all appreciation for humanity. He is, quote, a man who has seen no mercy in his life. I'd like more details about his past, but in 2 issues, this Spawn has a psychology I much more easily buy as something Hell would want to use than I did Al's. Maybe this devil is just a better strategist than Bulgy. Yeah, turns out there's a 12th level of Hell, and Bulgy isn't running the Hellspawn show anymore. This demon, also all bony, is called Fledgathanyar. Yeah, try remembering how to spell that when you're making up place settings for your all-devil cocktail party. I'll refer to him as Fledgy. So why does this Spawn still have the M symbol on his chest if he works for Fledgy? It should be a big P or a PH. I'm sure Doomsvince is trying to tell me something, making this the very next series to read after my little field trip. I'm sure he wants me to think that failure is inevitable, that he's more powerful than I am, and my resolve, hope, and good intentions won't be enough to save me. If he's right, I should have taken his deal in the creepy, overly lit kitchen, my son, and Mountain Dew for all eternity. But this is just a story, and like mine, it isn't over yet. Things might look pretty hopeless, but as long as there's someone left with a passion to change things for the better, there's still time left to turn things around. Signed, Captain Logan.